And we're back with more on News Talk Saga 960 and newscrypto.com. Newstalkcrypto.com is the actual name of the link. You should definitely check that out. There's a YouTube channel that features many of these videos, by the way, in which I get to chat with my friend Benjamin Dichter. And Benjamin is our go-to guy. He is our guide through the minefield that is cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin included, and all the other ones, including the Let's Go Brandon coin, the Doggy coin, and all the other ones, some more reputable than others, but it seems like every week there's a new one. And there's experts that go on, business shows that talk about what Bitcoin is and what crypto is, and explain the impact that cryptocurrencies is having in the economy as a whole, and why people should be interested in at least find out what it's about. Welcome once again, Benjamin.
How you doing, Mark?
Excellent. So last time we had a chance to chat, we talked a little bit about the congressional hearings featuring questions associated with cryptocurrencies. And here's an interview that an extension really to the last video that we had on featuring a guy named Michael Saylor, who's a major investor. I guess he's the type of person they refer to as a whale investor when you're talking about huge sums of money. And the quote in the tweet by Yahoo Finance is, everybody in the world wants two things. They want a digital currency and they want the dollar. That according to MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor, who goes on to say the digital dollar is designed to collapse the 100 weakest currencies of the world. We need stable coins to spread. A lot of this is going to sound like pure jargon to a lot of people. Do you want to do the lead up to this video?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the comments about stable coins just yet. We'll get into that later on. I think first people need to get their heads around Bitcoin. A stable coin is just a coin that's created as a peg against the US dollar. So it's one for one. One of, if it's a tether coin, one tether equals $1 US. That's all it means.
All right. Well, it sounds like great to me, but let's listen to Yahoo Finance, this panel featuring Michael Saylor. Let's listen.
Yeah, I watched a lot of those hearings yesterday, and I think the big winner of the congressional hearings is Bitcoin. It's pretty clear that there's consensus at the congressional level in support of crypto. It's pretty clear that investors want to invest in the new digital economy. Bitcoin's universally acknowledged as common property and not a security. So there's no regulatory overhang on Bitcoin. If you want digital property as a long-term store of value, then every nation in the world, China, Europe, the United States, they all acknowledge that Bitcoin is digital property. It's not a security. There's a lot of question about how other security tokens will be resolved in the crypto exchanges and DeFi. And obviously, there's a lot of enthusiasm for it. There's a lot of pressure to move forward with regulatory clarity. I think it'll happen. But in the meantime, I think the one takeaway that any reasonable investor could have is that Bitcoin's here to stay, and Bitcoin's an obvious solution. And there really isn't any regulatory uncertainty around Bitcoin's status as property, a commodity, and a store of value. We can debate how volatile and how speculative it is, but the regulatory issues really aren't outstanding at this point.
Okay, so there's Michael Saylor, who's a major investor in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies in general. And he's talking about the congressional hearings and the examination of the whole area around whether or not to regulate cryptocurrencies. I know there's a lot of people who would like that. Many of the people who feel threatened by cryptocurrencies and want to prop up fiat currencies, those are the ones that really want to regulate Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. And so here we have Benjamin Dichter, who's our guide through this, you want to call it a minefield of cryptocurrencies. We want to understand what's going on. What's your take on the comments you just heard by Michael Saylor, Benjamin?
Well, I think, I don't know how long ago it was, several years ago, the IRS in the United States determined that Bitcoin is, in fact, property. That's what he's getting onto. And the big opposition from that has come from historically the large investment banks, whether it's Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan. You mentioned the term whales. Whales, somebody who's, has a large percentage of whatever that asset is. And we hear about crypto whales all the time, people who have, thousands of coins. Michael Saylor has become what we refer to as a crypto whale. There's not too many of them. There are some there, but anyways, that's in the crypto sector. But what nobody ever acknowledges is who are the whales in the legacy financial system? Well, that would be J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs and all the investors. Those are the whales. There's the ones who manipulate the market. And they don't like the fact that they've been front run by retail investors. So he's one of the first people, he's the first publicly traded company who realized that, wait, it's going in the opposite direction in the crypto segment, the crypto market. Investment banks are there. I'm going to get in now. I understand this asset. I understand where it's going. I understand now it is property, not a security. And that's really what they're presenting at Congress is, going further with that.
Do they want to make it a security? Is that what the regulators want? Is that what the crypto haters want?
Yeah. So the SEC actually has an ongoing case with XRP, which is another altcoin. Don't worry about it. It doesn't really matter. But they have, it's been going on for 2 or 3 years now. They tried to deem it a security, which caused a lot of people to scratch their heads. They were doing this with a lot of altcoins, the SEC. So they'd go around, find an altcoin and say, well, you're a security and we're going to charge you with whatever offense for your initial coin offering, which is like an IPO in the crypto world, or pay us, $30 million. Okay, they always settle. They pay the extortion protection money, and then the SEC goes on their way. XRP is the one company that says, no, we're not giving you this extortion money, and they've been dragging XRP through the courts. And, we know how the political structure works. These people who work with the SEC and our government institutions right now, they'll bring out regulations. New York is notorious for this. And they'll start to, lean on a new crypto company, and then they'll leave the public sector. They'll go into the private sector, and they'll start a consulting company that works against the very legislation that they just put into power, right? These are the type of ganefs. We call a word for thief. These are ganefs that we have in our government, and it's all over the place. SEC is included.
Yeah, they're also known as grifters. But I guess the question is, ultimately, at the end of the day, whether or not cryptocurrencies are property or whether they are securities, correct? And so at some point, we're going to have some huge court decision that makes that determination. And
well, no, the IRS has already determined that years ago that it's property. From my understanding of it, and on a very basic level, the difference is, even though it's kind of flipped in our society now, but the idea of property is there's no expectation of an increase in value like a security. So you buy property, it's something that you hold. You buy a security in the anticipation that it can go up in value, that it's something that's traded on a market.
Yeah, but that's like artwork, right? That people buy a Picasso or whatever, thinking that it's art and it's a possession, but it's also an investment.
Well,
or a Ferrari, a 1960 Ferrari or something like that.
Because our people in government have done such a wonderful job over the past several decades that now people are buying property with the expectation that it goes up. So they're treating it like a security, although it's not. And that's how you get into, a lot of people, there's a lot of debate in the crypto world. Should people buy homes and buy real estate? Is that an investment or not? And James Altucher's, famously, a guy who I know who goes on CNBC all the time, or used to, and explain that a house is probably the worst investment you can get. But that's a whole other.
Yeah, but you can also at least live in it. Let's listen to a little bit about from that panel discussion with Michael Saylor, who was on Yahoo Finance, answering questions and commenting on the hearings, the congressional hearings on Capitol Hill on cryptocurrencies. Let's listen.
Hey, Michael, it's Brian Chung here. I want to drill a little bit more on the store of value side of things, as you just illustrated. One of the arguments for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is its ability to usurp the US dollar. But stablecoins caught a lot of attention. And what caught my ear was actually some conversation about how stablecoins could actually entrench the US dollar status. I want to play a clip of Jeremy Allaire from Circle talking about this with Congress yesterday. Take a listen.
dollar stablecoins are doing trillions of dollars of transactions. The experimental beta of a Chinese yuan, which is government controlled in China, has done $10 billion of transactions. So the United States is winning. This has potential to grow at a very significant speed around the world and benefit the US dollar and benefit American businesses and households. And so I think that's one really, really critical thing to understand. And I think the primacy of this infrastructure and the development of this infrastructure, it is a strategic national security and national economic priority for the United States, and we need to get going on it right now.
Okay, so that's the CEO of a company called Circle, and he claims the US dollar is winning the digital currency space race with the Chinese. But I still am confused about what a stable coin is relative to a cryptocurrency. What can you explain that to me in language that even someone like me can understand?
Sure. You've ever shopped at Canadian Tire?
Sadly, many times.
Okay. So, Canadian...
Oh, wait a minute. Canadian Tire is going to get, look, I like Canadian Tire. It's fine.
No, I know.
Just full of Chinese stuff now. So I don't know, if you want to avoid buying stuff made in China, then going to Canadian Tire is futile. Anyway, so fine.
Okay. So you go to Canadian Tire, and when you cash out, what do? They give you Canadian Tire dollars.
Yeah, that's right. Funny money.
Denomination in cents, and 10 cents, 25 cents,
yes.
Whatever.
Yep.
That's an analog stable coin.
That's been around for decades, though. It's nothing new.
That's right. It's analog. So what a stable coin is, it's the same idea, except places more than just Canadian Tire will accept it. That's all it is. So instead of using a Canadian dollar,
well, how is that not like a counterfeit money? Is that not like counterfeit money, basically?
Well, I mean, they're supposed to be backed with U.S. Treasuries. So if they're backed with U.S. Treasuries held by a company that's issuing a stable coin based on that treasury, no, that's why the dollar was invented, right? When banks used to hold gold, and they would issue certificates that were basically honorariums for how much gold that they held, right? Well, it's the same idea.
All right, so we just heard from this guy to see what is Circle. This is a company that is in the digital currency space.
Yeah, it's an exchange. They also have this stable coin. They've been involved for quite a while. If there's a coin called USDC that's used by a number of exchanges to buy in and out of Bitcoin. So the idea is this. Without getting too much into it, you go to an exchange, you want to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So you convert your US dollars or your Canadian dollars. It's more for people outside. You can convert your Canadian dollars into USDC. So because when you're buying on the exchange, your book value is based on US dollars versus Bitcoin. So you buy your USD and then you trade, because the USD is pegged to the dollar, you buy your Bitcoin. That's if you're a trader. So you're going to buy your Bitcoin, you go into your trade, and then when you exit your trade, you convert your Bitcoin back into the USDC and then, take your profits. Again, it's really for traders. It's not for
not for the regular people like us.
That's right.
Okay, or me anyway. Let's listen. Go back to this panel discussion involving finance, Yahoo Finance, and Michael Saylor, who's our crypto whale investor, talking about the Capitol Hill discussions and questions and hearings that have been held in Washington, D.C.
So, Michael, I guess any thoughts on how stablecoins kind of play with the broader goals of crypto? Because it seems like an implicit acknowledgement that while Bitcoin may be, attractive, it has other attractive offerings, means of payment is one that might be better served by stablecoins.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake to characterize any of the cryptos as currencies. They really should be thought of as crypto assets. Bitcoin is a crypto asset. It's a property. It's not a currency. The IRS determined that in 2014 when they designated it as property. The dollar is a currency. The digital dollar is a digital currency, and everybody in the world wants two things. They want a digital currency and they want the dollar, right? The world wants 10 or 20 or 30 trillion dollars worth of digital dollars. They don't want the lira, the peso, the bolivar, the naira. I think that the digital dollar is destined to collapse the 100 weakest currencies in the world, and the US dollar, which is currently the reserve currency of the world on 20th century banking rails is going to be the reserve digital currency of the world on 21st century crypto rails. I don't think there's any dispute about that. And Jeremy's correct. The United States needs the digital dollar. We need stable coins to spread. Now, with regard to Bitcoin, Bitcoin is digital property. The world needs digital property to hold their money for a decade or a century. They need the digital dollar as a medium of exchange to move money back and forth day by day, week by week. Both of those are going to be big winners in the coming crypto eras. No doubt.
Okay, so that was really a interesting, critical statement that he just made, because that, that kind of crystallized the future. If I just heard it correctly, right there in that 2-minute clip, what he is saying is this is where we're going. You own cryptocurrencies as property, and you will have a digital dollar, US dollar, as a stable coin for use of in terms of exchange. So you'll still be buying stuff with dollars, but it'll be digital dollars, and you'll be able to transfer your property, which is cryptocurrency, over to the US digital dollar, and use that to buy whatever you want to buy. Does that make sense what I just said? Did I just hear that correctly?
Remember, I said to you a few episodes ago, you asked, is this a threat to governments and the banking system? And I said, well, there's a big opportunity for them if they understand that the US dollar, the dollar of your native currency, goes in and out of Bitcoin. The people will still transact in dollars, but they'll hold their money in Bitcoin. Because remember, I had mentioned to you in the very beginning, what is Bitcoin? It is a digital bank account in cyberspace that has a maximum of 21 million coins. And when you're buying Bitcoin, you're buying a small allocation of that account for yourself to store your money, right?
All right. So why can't, okay. By the way, Benjamin Dichter joining us on Saga 960 on this latest edition of Crypto Talk with Benjamin. Okay, so, but rather than hold my money, well, not money, hold cryptocurrencies, which is property, right? Yeah. We've established that. And then convert some of that to US digital dollars in order to buy whatever, groceries. Why not hold it all in US digital dollars? Why bother with crypto at all?
Sure. And then you're not going to get any of the potential upside as the market goes from 1 or 200 million people to $8 billion, right? It's the key to Bitcoin. What makes a difference is the fixed supply, that there's almost 19 million coins that have already been mined. Only 2 million coins are left to be mined over the next 120 years. And that's it. So if you want to go hold it in a stable coin, okay, sure, go ahead. But the stable coin is centralized. The Bitcoin is decentralized, right? Back to the basis of where this all started is nobody owns your Bitcoin. There's no organization that controls it. No government controls it. No government can seize it. No, it's yours. It's financial sovereignty over your money. If you want to buy into a company's stable coin that's backed with their held U.S. reserves assets, okay, I guess I wouldn't recommend it, because you're losing all the benefits of the security and sovereignty of Bitcoin and decentralization.
And if I hear you correctly as well, there's a fixed number of Bitcoin, then that's the value of that is going to go up and down in the market as well. But the USD digital, that will also be changing as well, because so you've got the value of the US digital currency that you'll be using to buy stuff with. That'll be fluctuating based on as well that value is going to go up and down, even though there's a fixed number of crypto coins, Bitcoins. I don't know. Maybe I'm not asking the question the correct way.
No, the USDC. Yeah. This is why I didn't want to get too much into stable coins. Whatever the US dollar value is, that's what your stable coin value is. You have one USDC, it's one US dollar. forever. Now, if the dollar gets inflated away, so
Yeah.
does the USDC.
But crypto doesn't.
Don't use the term crypto, Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, sorry. But Bitcoin doesn't.
Bitcoin doesn't, because Bitcoin is deflationary and the supply is fixed. It's funny.
Okay, yeah. So it's a hedge against inflation. Owning Bitcoin is a hedge against the loss of value in US dollars, whether it's in crypto form or fiat currency, like or typical like paper.
Because Bitcoin can't be inflated away. It's always deflationary. Remember, we're in the year 2022 almost. In 2 years from now, we're going to have the next halving. What does that mean? That means every day right now, 900 new Bitcoin are minted or mined, but are minted into the market. But in 2 years from now, that gets cut in half to 450. What's going to happen as more and more people start getting into the Bitcoin market? And remember, half the world is unbanked. So even if their economy, the average person holds fewer dollars or less wealth and value as people in the Western world, it's still half the planet. Still 4 billion people are coming into the market.
Right. Okay. Let's change the topic to Bancolombia. So we've spoken in the past about how a couple of countries, anyway, El Salvador and the tiny African nation of Tonga, have adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. And now we see moves by the, I guess you refer to it as like the RBC of Colombia, to allow crypto trading in financial, and I guess it's just a pilot program for now. But you see this as a major step forward, do you, Benjamin?
Yeah, well, firstly, the Tongolese government, they're proposing it.
Still hasn't quite happened yet. Okay.
I think it's one of the princes in the kingdom or whatever. He's been on a number of podcasts explaining it, but they're likely going in that direction because he's been in the market for quite a while. It's a bright guy, actually. But yeah, Bancolombia is doing this test project. And the reason they're doing this test project is about a year ago, the Duque government passed a law allowing companies, private corporations, whatever, and public companies to hold Bitcoin as a reserve asset. So they've been slowly, not quite as rapidly as El Salvador, but they've been going in this direction. Now, why does Colombia want that? Well, Colombia has a problem right now where they have what seems like half of Venezuela is living in Colombia illegally because of that monkey Chavez who destroyed the country, right? So you walk through, especially you go through Medellin, Cali, any of the cities, it's full of Venezuelans everywhere. And none of them have legal status there, but they still need to live, right? They still can transact. And Bitcoin is something that allows them to do that. One of the biggest one of the most popular and successful Bitcoin ATMs in the world is actually on the Colombian-Venezuelan border. People who have come into Colombia and have family still in Venezuela, that's how they're trading money back and forth. They're using the Bitcoin system. So if you're the government of Colombia and you realize, okay, I have a migrant issue that I really can't solve, these people are here. We need to allow people at least to live during the time that they remain, because they know eventually when the government collapses in Venezuela, there will be a mad rush of people moving back to rebuild that economy. So in the interim, what's a way that we can allow these people to participate? We're going to allow Bitcoin to grow in our economy. And the next step is to allow banks to custodial and do a test project, which is what they're doing.
Well, let's hope that happens soon. But there's always the danger that people like Justin Trudeau will see that as an inspiration to continue destroying Canada, and that same contagion that has wrecked Venezuela is now going to continue to wreck other countries, namely Canada. Let's talk a little bit about this jury case in Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto suit finds no evidence of partnership to create cryptocurrency. Okay, so what is this about? Can you make sense out of this case? What is this guy claiming? And this is in Florida, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So this was a dispute between two business partners who were, this guy, Craig Wright, created a fork of Bitcoin.
A what?
Meaning a fork of Bitcoin.
I don't know what that is.
From a, how can I make this simple? You have a blockchain. So imagine blocks in line succession of one of the actual blocks.
Yeah, I can imagine blocks.
And then you basically fork off midway through, and you create another block.
I've been told to fork off more than once, I can tell you that.
So basically, it's a fork in the road and of the algorithm that creates a whole new blockchain called a Bitcoin Satoshi's vision. I don't care about his personal philosophy. I don't think anybody should care. But essentially, he came onto the scene, said, where Bitcoin is going now, this wasn't the original vision, which is probably accurate. Bitcoin was created not to be property. It was created for transactional purposes, but its original purpose has changed. So he said, I've created a fork in the road of Bitcoin Satoshi's vision. That's what it really was. Oh, and I know because I created Bitcoin. So when everybody in the room got off the floor from laughing for 5 minutes,
Okay.
and no. So he's been on this crusade for years to telling people, I'm the original creator. I'm the original creator. Anyways, so this ended up this, he had this dispute with his partner who claims that he stole, I think, $100 million worth of Bitcoin, or it might be more. I can't even remember. It's a large, or maybe it's $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Anyways.
Wow. Okay. So
he sued him in Florida court, and the Florida court, this is the funny part, forget the ruling. The fact that he is the original creator. Well, during the proceedings, the judge demanded that Mr. Wright submit to the court a list of his wallets that hold his Bitcoin that prove he is Satoshi Nakamura, meaning the first set of initial wallets, let's say the first 50 wallets, a segment of those, maybe 10 of them, belong to Satoshi Nakamura. So he said,
if you look at your screen, you'll see what I think of when I think of blocks, just for the record.
So anyways, he submitted a bunch of wallets to say, well, these are all my Bitcoins. These are the Satoshi ones. That proves I'm Satoshi. And then a couple of people online through Twitter, because Twitter is very active in the Bitcoin community, said, excuse me, that's my wallet. And so when I guess it was the court and the Bitcoin community overall said, if those are truly your wallets, Craig, and you're Mr. Satoshi, prove it.
Yeah.
And I want you to send a $50 to another wallet, or send something here. Just show me one small transaction from any of those wallets.
Okay. And what happened? Obviously, we can figure out what happened. Nothing, right?
So I don't have to do that. I don't have to prove anything to you. Like, no, you actually do, because you're making the claims. You actually need to prove that. So this has been a sideshow that's been going on for years. Everybody in the crypto community has kind of moved on from this guy. It was just funny that the mainstream media picked up on it and started, I saw a bunch of headlines that were quietly changed overnight. The headlines were, the founder of, the creator of Bitcoin has been discovered. Like, okay, anyways.
And our old friend, Peter Schiff, is also in the news. Peter, just so people know, is a confirmed Bitcoin hater. He thinks it's going to go down to zero, as do a lot of other people, and very intelligent people believe in their heart of hearts that one day the bubble is going to burst and this puppy is going to go down to nothing. And there's going to be a whole lot of people sitting around with worthless Bitcoin. Anyway, every time that there's a dip of some kind, and there was one a few days ago, it was, stomach churning for those who are following it closely. I think it fell 17% or something like that. But Schiff came out, and every time something like that happens, Schiff rubs his hands with glee and says, there's more dips coming. How much taxpayer money do you intend to waste? Why taxpayers' money? I mean, if people want to waste their own cash on cryptocurrencies, What's his problem with that?
Well, let's forget Schiff, because we all know where Schiff's opinions are. But what I thought was entertaining was the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, actually got into a spat with Peter Schiff online. And it was a quite interesting feed to reach back and forth, and Schiff doing the same thing. It's going to zero. All he says, it's going to zero. He doesn't understand how it works. He just knows it's going to zero. And Nayib Bukele, for lack of a better term, handed him his ass. And it was followed up by this tweet from
Spencer Schiff, who's
Spencer Schiff,
Peter's son,
saying, Nayib Bukele, my dad's reply to your signal, my dad's reply is your signal to buy more. Basically, whatever my dad says, just do the
opposite.
Yeah, exactly. So it'd be interesting to see who's going to be wealthier over the next 10 years, Peter Schiff or his son.
Yeah, I'm sure they have some interesting dinner conversations, Spencer and Peter do. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much once again, Benjamin.
All right, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll get a chance to do this again very soon. I think it's very enlightening. I know that a lot of listeners to Saga 960 are getting value out of it. I know I am as well, as we maybe look into the brave new future of cryptos down the road, and who knows what the future of fiat currencies is.
Well, let them know to go to newstalkcrypto.com as well.
You go ahead and do that.
And and also maybe, I don't know if you want to talk about this at some point in the future, but I posted a link for a BlockFi account where people can earn up to 9.5% interest. I think it's 4.5% interest on Bitcoin if they hold it. I don't know. Maybe you want me to walk that through you and explain it?
Can we do that in the next episode?
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that now.
Perfect. All right, Benjamin Dichter. That's it for me on this edition of the Mark Petroni Radio program. Hope you enjoyed the show. It's been an absolute blast bringing it to you. Don't forget to support our sponsor, Better Contracting Services. Check them out today at bettercontracting.ca, and also tune in to Roof Rescue every Friday at 2:45. Have a great weekend. Let's do it again Monday, shall we? Bye-bye for now.
1, 2